Hi, this is Kalyan Karmakar, and welcome to a fresh episode of Foodocracy for Her, which is a series where I speak to women in the Indian food and beverage industry. And there's another series which I do, which is called Foodocracy Kitchens, where I speak about the food of people from different communities of India. And in a way, I can see a bit of a synergy happening in this today because our guest today is Sneha Senapati. She's a Odia home chef, and she's now based in Mumbai. And I've been eating a lot of her food and during the lockdown and Odia food, and I've been talking about it. In fact, I think I started my Foodocracy Kitchens series with a story on her cooking. So today we're going to talk to her in Foodocracy for Her, but also a bit of Foodocracy Kitchens. I know it sounds confusing, but it'll all come together. So welcome on board, Sneha. So
Hi,
good to see you.
Kalyan. Thank you so much.
So you're a Cuttack girl.
Yes.
Yes, like I think Netaji Subhash Chandra was also born in Cuttack, right?
Yes. So I was born in Cuttack, but I have been mostly brought up in Bhubaneswar. So my maternal grandparents and mama body is always in Cuttack. So, and my mother's side is also like Bengali. So I have a confluence between Bengali and Odia.
Oh, so you're half Bengali, half Orissa.
I would say 25% because my grandmother was Bengali, married to an Odia. So 25% Bengali and 75% Odia.
Okay, so which means that when you sit for when you're having Rasgulla, you'll have one Pahala Rasgulla, then maybe 25% of a Calcutta Kesidas, then again one. that's quite a bad.
Well, for starters, I don't like sweets, so I'm saved from that. So that's one thing. And most of my family is based out of Cuttack itself, not too much. No one in West Bengal or Calcutta as such.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Bhubaneswar is the capital of Odisha, right now?
Yes.
But Cuttack is considered to be at least the culinary capital of Odisha. Is that right?
So actually, that is right to a large extent. But in Odisha, every region has got its own speciality, whether it's food in terms of veg, non-veg, or sweet dish, because every place has a sweet dish which is particular to them, and they are very, very proud about it. So, yes. For example, like you say, the Pahada Rasgulla it's like between Bhubaneswar and Cuttack. That is very famous. Then
it's
you
a
have
highway, right? It's a highway.
Yeah.
So I've not gone there, but I've tasted. Okay. My friend Amit Patnaik's mom had sent it over. I've been to Puri in 81 as a kid. When I was in Calcutta.
That's a long time.
I was going to go to Odisha in. My plan was to go this year in 2021, and then the pandemic happened. So I went to Puri in 81, and I was planning a trip. In fact, I was discussing a lot with Rohit, who's based in Bhubaneswar, and this thing. We planned everything, but it's going to happen. But till then, Sneha, tell us a bit about the food of Orissa. So Sneha, tell us a bit about the food of Orissa. Is it possible to describe it in one go, or are there layers to it?
Well, I can speak from whatever experience I have. So like I said, that I was mostly, born in Cuttack and brought up in Bhubaneswar, and my maternal village, it is in Mayurbhanj, and paternal village is near Puri, which is Nimapada. So all these places are like hotspots for food and different kinds of food, when I see Cuttack, like you rightly said, all the street food, right from Dahi, vada, aloo to, your aloo chop and the bora, gugni that you had written about. So all those things, all those memories come from Cuttack. And my mother, she used to tell me when she was expecting me, they used to have this huge street food party every evening with all these things. So Cuttack is very famous for all these things. And they are also very famous for the chicken chop, which is a Mughlai style of chicken that they prepare, and biryani. So they're very, very like extreme foodies you find in Cuttack, and very old Chinese restaurants, typical Chinese restaurants. That is also that you'll find something in Cuttack.
So
Bhubaneswar
other Chinese restaurants are run by Chinese families like you have in Jamshedpur, Calcutta.
yes,
So
yes.
Yes.
So yeah, there are two very famous. One was called Hong Kong, the other was called Nanking, and they make such fabulous food. Like you can almost relate it to the Lynx Pavilion kind of experience. So that's how it is over there.
I can sort of I can relate to that because I went to Jamshedpur just before the lockdown, and I ate at a place called Frank's, which is run by a Chinese family originally from Calcutta, and that food in that place was like, it was so wonderful. In fact, it's better than what I've had in Calcutta in recent times in the Chinese restaurants there. Like the quality of the pork, the flavoring of the fried rice, and everything was brilliant.
And no matter how much you try, you can't get that taste somehow. Even if you use the same kind of ingredients or method or whatever, but that smell and that taste is absolutely different. I mean, nothing beats that. And so that was Cuttack for me. And then if I talk about Nimapada again is very, very famous for a sweet dish called Chena Chili. It's basically cottage cheese and it's like made into small dumplings and it's fried and then it is dipped in the sugar syrup. From the outside, it looks like a flat gulab jamun, but when you dig into it, it is the chena. It's not the other dough.
So it's sorry Sneha. So then it's a bit different from in Calcutta in the sweet shops. We have something called chana jilipi, which is slightly dark brown in color like a pantua, and it's an attempted whirl. It's not just flat. There's a bit of a whirl. So you're saying this is different.
This is different. This is like a small, it's exactly like a dumpling, flat dumpling. It's deep fried and it's then dipped in that sugar syrup, and it's like famous for that particular area.
So there's more to Odia sweets. So there's more to Odia sweets than the Pala Rasagholla or even the Chenapura.
A lot.
Yeah. That's all people know. Then there's a khaja. I remember as a kid in Puri going and enjoying the khaja at the temple. I was very small. I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old, and we just come to India, so everything was new. And the two memories I have is the khaja, because as a kid you'd like that, deep fried and sugar and all that, and the sal leaf sort of boxes in which the prasad would come, and a slightly sweetish pulao from the Puri temple. I don't think we went to the temple, but we had a lot of food.
So I think it's a little brown in color and it actually melts in your mouth, the sweet rice that they make the pulao. Now, in fact, like in Puri, you not only have the sweet khaja, you also get a salty one. That is also very nice, and you get like a magaj laddu. It's like powdered version of it's like similar to besan laddu. I exactly don't know what the ingredients are, but that laddu is to die for. And that taste you get only in Puri temple. So
I think that reminds me a bit of Punjabis have this thing in North India called chura. I don't know if you had it, but maybe it's something similar to that.
No,
chura
it's not.
Chura is very comely. I can't imagine a laddu being made out of chura.
Chura is like a poha, right? It's not that.
No, chura is not poha also, but the one which I'm talking of. It's like that dal bati chura, and it's crushed and it's got
the chura.
A lot of ghee and yes.
It's that powder. Yeah, you feel that powder kind of a thing. Yeah, but it simply melts in your mouth. It's very tasty. So those two things from the Puri Jagannath temple are like my favorites, at least.
Yeah.
And Bhubaneswar honestly is become more like Bhubaneswar food is very cosmopolitan in nature. It is like a confluence of everything because people have come from outside and settle a lot of North Indian crowd and then South Indian as well, because Andhra is a border to Orissa. So a lot of those influences are there, but
I think the script is similar also, right? The Andhra script and the Odia script, the Telugu script and Odia. Is it?
I don't know. No.
Okay.
I know Odia. I don't know Telugu script, but whatever I've seen of the Telugu script, it looks very different to me.
Okay, then maybe I'm completely wrong. Yeah.
But like the typical food of Orissa that's made, it's usually very high on like nutrition, and the flavors are intact. We don't play too much in terms of oil or blended spices and stuff. Mostly use like whole garam masala, or every dish has got a distinct flavor. It's not like you prepare like a single paste or a garam masala and using everything. So each food or each item has got its own flavor, whether it's a dal or a ghanta tarkari, like which is like a mixed veg. Then if you have like a besora, which is again your mustard paste and those kind of things influenced in that particular mixed veg. So every kind of a dish has got its distinct flavor.
Yeah, I must say that when I've, and we'll come to that later, but when I've tried your food, like, and each time each dish is quite different. Also, tell me a bit about fish, because on the one hand, there's a fair bit of coastal area in Orissa. Of course, Puri is the most famous, and I've seen pictures of the beaches nowadays. I mean, how fabulous are those beaches in Puri? I mean, it doesn't look like India. They're so clean. I had to actually ask the person who posted that, is this from some other place? He said, no, it's Puri. So so is it more of sea fish, or is it more river water fish? This thing. So my cat Baby Loaf's also sitting here. He's very interested to know what sort of fish you guys eat. He like
So
me likes chicken. He's not a fish eater.
Oh, is it? I always thought you also are like more of a fish eater than a chicken.
No, I'm a meat eater. In fact, a lot of Bengali men prefer meat or eggs to fish. But the girls tend to like fish more. And my wife is Parsi and she loves fish. And she likes freshwater fish, which she got introduced to after married to me. So it's thanks to her that I buy fish and cook fish. Of course, as I'm growing older, I'm also trying to eat more fish because it's better. But yes, tell us about the fish in Orissa.
So it's majority of the fishes are fresh river water fish, whether it's like prawns or crabs. Mostly it is fresh water.
Okay.
Because it's like the sweet taste that is different from like we have in the seawater fish. So the majority of the population is a freshwater eating population, freshwater fish eating population.
This combination of Dahi vada aloo dum always sort of confuses me, and I'm yet to have it in its proper way, because how can a dahi vada, which is tangy, and this thing with a aloo dum, which is so much about garam masala and potatoes and chilies. I mean, how does the combination work? The imagination boggles. Doesn't the potato sort of overwhelm the dahi vada, or does it combine well?
So I'll give you a little bit of like a historical thing of how it actually is eaten in Cuttack. So earlier it was like just in a whole sal patta, like a huge sal patta. There was this guy. His name was Raghu, and he's still considered to be the icon of Dahi vada aloo dum in Odisha. So you ask anyone about Cuttack and you ask anyone about Raghu Dahi vada aloo dum, everyone would be knowing about it, and he's such an icon, So he used to just serve these 4 large chunks of dahi vada. One of them used to be sweet. Everything else is sour. One used to be sweet. And on that really spicy aloo dum. And it's sprinkled with a little bit of, finely chopped onions, your coriander leaves, and the mixture, like local mixture. So Cuttack is also very famous for mixture. I missed that part. So the farsan, basically.
Yes. I think in Jamshedpur also they call it mixture.
Yeah.
The chanachur. So, but they also call it chanachur.
Yes.
Yeah, mixture.
Yeah. So he just sprinkles a little bit of that and a little bit of that green chili paste and tamarind water. The fiery taste of aloo dum with that like the water of dahi vada's watery water, like dahi that I had shared that last time with you when I sent it across. So it all actually balances. So at one when you eat, it's all spice, and the other side cools down your palate. So it all beautifully comes together. I wish I could just put everything together and send it across, but by the time it reaches the person, it will become a disaster. It's always good, fresh made.
Yeah, but you did that with the gup chup. With the gup chup, you gave different components. the gupchup is what we call fuchka in Calcutta. So golgappa and all that. So you get the different components, and towards the end, I got my technique right, like with the spoon, with the thumb, make the hole and put it in. Now, have you been to Calcutta, or have you had Bengali food?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So there's always this bit of a debate between Odias and Bengalis about whose food is more original. I think Devi Lo's also joining into the debate. I'll just check what he's just once. There's always this bit of a debate that where did the food come from, and when I write about things in my blog over the last so many years, like I'd say Bengali spice called pach foron, or Bengali dish called rui machar kalia, or luchi cholar dal or kosha mangsho, and then there would be Odia food bloggers who'd write and saying we have the same dish but it's called this, or we also use pach foron, we also do this. So when I try your food, it to me it tastes of home, and yet there's a bit of distinctiveness to it. And of course, when I say home, Bengal itself, like whether it's West Bengal, then it's slightly different. East, where I come from, is slightly different. So I think East and Assam, the plains of Assam, is closer. I think the Odia food is slightly closer to what you get in the Ghoti, West Bengal sort of thing. But what's your take on it? What's your take on the influences, the rivalry? I feel the rivalry is slightly more in from the Odia side, but that could be because we Bengalis have been a bit bossy, perhaps, or bullies. I don't know, but Bengalis don't seem to be that perturbed, but Odias get very upset.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to that.
Maybe Bengali chauvinism. Bengali chauvinism at that. Yeah.
Well, see, honestly, till like lately, I had never come across a lot of Odia people who were very, very, proud about what they had in terms of their culture, tradition, cuisine. It was more about exploring what the others have and enjoying that. And there's nothing wrong in that. You always should be open in terms of exploring what is there out, right? And that's how you grow. But and till the time I was at home, I never understood this particular thing of what we have as a community. And when I came here to Bombay, and I saw like a lot of my friends, especially in TIS, and I think there were only 2-3 of us who were from Orissa, and everyone else was like either from West Bengal or Northeast had a very large representation in TIS. And there we used to have a lot of these debates about what food and which kind of food and how everything is influenced, unity in diversity, everything. So I agree that Bengalis have been very, very smart and also aggressive in terms of marketing what they have, and Odia people actually understood that very, very late. It's actually that way, because though they had a lot of things which is very, very rich and indigenous in terms of the culinary cuisine, they never understood how to promote it to the larger audience. So that's where I think the whole benefit came into the Bengali community, maybe to talk more about what they had. And I would also not defy the fact that a lot of things are common and a lot of things are similar, because we are just across the border, here and there. So there's always a lot of exchange that happens when you are neighbors. So yes, that is true. But the only distinction that I find between our Bengali food and Odia food is maybe in terms of richness, and the way the spices are used in Odia food. It's way lesser. If you feel that it's more subdued in nature, and the vegetable or the meat becomes more of a hero than the flavors. Whereas in Bengali food, it's a mix of both. We like that nice red-looking kosha mangsho with that luchi when you talk about a Bengali thing. And when you talk about a Odia thing, it is more
listen, let me tell you, your kosha mangsho was far spicier than any Bengali kosha mangsho I read it, and I had Kehna's loved it. I also loved it, but I also want to call a fire truck to put water on me. But I'm so sorry, but I loved it.
I personally feel like a little spicier one is way better. And because it was like a large audience for a pop-up, it has to be on a little higher side. But if you see about the like a Odia mutton curry with the aloo pieces, it is more subdued. It's not that not too much of oil that is there, and mostly cooked in the mutton fat, like the chorbi that you have, that you call in Bengali and in Odia. So that chorbi you use that chorbi to cook the mutton, and not use external oil. So that's how I think it makes more of a difference.
Yeah, so it's with mutton with no oil added. What can be healthier? It's like I make this bacon hakka noodles with no oil added, with the bacon fat. But I think you made some very interesting points, Neha. And before food and all this, I'd studied sociology and I used to be in market research. So I did. What do you do? Sociology?
I am a graduate in sociology.
From where? Calcutta?
No, from Bhubaneswar.
Okay. So I graduated in sociology, but while you went to TIS, and we're going to talk about your story soon, I did my MBA in Calcutta, but TIS was one of the top options. TIS and JNU, if you didn't want to go to the business side and D school, and then I did went into market research agencies and all that. So I agree with you that I don't think the Bengalis consciously marketed, but the thing is that there are certain communities, like say Bengalis in the West, the Marwaris, the Gujaratis, the Jains, who are very, even Rajasthanis, who are very, who are very. I think Punjabis just love food. So but I think that Bengalis, Gujaratis is that they go more into the intricacies of dishes and this that. I think Punjabis are more about like having a good time, making sure everyone is well fed, and but I think that but I think that when it comes to being slightly proud, bordering on being chauvinistic, that might be a bit more for Bengalis, Gujaratis, and Marwaris. But then what happens is that in the region, there will be people like say the people in Bihar, Orissa, Assam who get sort of eclipsed. In Mumbai, it would be say the Maharashtrian community which sort of gets eclipsed, and therefore this feeling of being not done well is quite justified. But I think that there are two ways of looking at it. One can get into fights on Twitter and this, that, and stuff. But then what people like you are doing, or my friend Amit and her mother in Delhi, and so many people who are now going out and talking about their culture and giving people a chance to experience their culture, because that's better. I mean, we can keep fighting and which Rasgulla is better, this, that, and there are far better sweets on both sides of the border.
Sure.
But now, Sneha, I'm going to come to your story now, because Foodocracy for her is also the story of the people behind the food. So tell me a bit about your journey from Cuttack to Mumbai. What got you here? Because it was not to be a chef, was it?
No, of course not.
Yes.
So Cuttack was like when I was infant in my grandparents' house. It's Bhubaneswar in my paternal grandparents' house where I was born and brought up. I was brought up in a joint family. My dad, he is like three. There are three brothers and two sisters. One sister is in Gujarat, the other was in Calcutta, and all these three brothers together. So it was like a huge, happy joint family. And my grandmother used to cook like this much of food every day for every one of us, and it was like lip smacking food. Everything cooked in pure ghee, and the paratha dripped in ghee. So that's how I was brought up, and I was the first born in the house. So
so was I. I'm the eldest grandson, eldest kid in my
generation. So you know how it works, right? And especially if you're eldest on both the sides, so you're pampered to the core and given best of everything. But I always had this thing of exploring what is there outside, and that's how I was pushed to give entrance exams for various professional institutes. So I did for JNU as well, and I did for TIS, and I got through TIS first. after having completed my bachelor's, graduation in sociology from Bhubaneswar. And that was the first time I actually stepped out of home. I had never stayed in a hostel before that. Till then, very happy, go lucky, like feeding on from my parents. So didn't know how much hard work it takes to actually get a meal together.
True.
So when I came to Bombay, hostel food was very, very good for a couple of days. And then as usual, it started to suck. I didn't know. I mean, I was like craving home food. And that time I didn't even have the ways and means of making my own food and eating.
Of course. Yeah.
So then when I passed out from TIS in like about 2009, and after I got a job like in one of the NGOs, I took a house on rent, and that's where I started cooking. And that was like basic cooking, like a rice, dal, like just managing, to be honest. I didn't even know how to cook then. And my mom was there, when I joined work, my first job, she was there, and
So
she used to
she came
guide
to
me.
Mumbai. She came to Mumbai.
No, she
Okay, you meant
never
she
got.
was.
Yeah. She was under treatment then. She was in Ahmedabad, but she always used to guide me over phone of what to do and how to do. So, and I had like the basic memories with me. Like, I used to play this Zana when I used to. So I always, I used to become Sanjeev Kapoor's replica and ask her questions. आपने इसमें क्या डाला, कितने मात्रा से डाला, कैसे डाला, कितना टाइम लगेगा इसको पकने में. I distinctly remember that.
This was as a sorry, your Sanjeev Kapoor thing. This was as a kid, or when you were in Mumbai, you took this. Okay, so
No,
the role play.
this was as a kid. Yeah, because she was a fabulous cook, and she also, like, her side of the family is also huge. So we always used to have guests over every weekend, and she used to cook like my grandmother in huge quantities, and she was very good with Chinese biryani and all those kind of things, like the exotic kind of food. She never went into sweets or those traditional cooking.
Yeah.
So that's how, and my incentive, she used to give me this incentive: if you complete one chapter of your particular subject, then you get to play this with me. So that's
awesome.
how it all started.
Yes.
Yeah. Then fast forward to 2009. After I started living by myself, she used to tell me that you can make this, make that, and that's how it started. And then eventually, after a couple of months, I lost her to cancer. Then it was like a pause. I didn't cook much. I mean, I don't know. I just managed because I had.
Yeah, it must have been quite disturbing to lose her at that point.
I mean, yeah. Now that I look back, it's never. I mean, you can't describe that feeling, to be honest. So. It's always that you feel that if she was there, this would have been different, or that would have been different. You would have done this, done that. But yeah, it's okay. It's life. It happens. So yeah. So I had my dad and my sister. So it's like we just learn to grow with it. And thankfully, I have a lot of relatives here in Bombay. So my mom's cousins, so most of them made me feel at home, and I used to manage my meals there. I remember, and I started cooking for them actually. So slowly, steadily, I started cooking for them.
So that's what brought you back. That's what brought you back into. So you'd cook in their houses when you'd visit them, or you'd cook and take food to them.
Both. It was both the ways.
Okay.
So it was both the ways. And my aunt, my Masi, who's my mom's cousin, she's actually, she also encouraged me a lot because they also used to love my mom's food. They told me that, you can try and see if you can, prepare something that's remotely close to what she used to make. And that's how it started. And then after a couple of years, and that time I was living in Jogeshwari East. That was near Greenfields.
So that's in Mumbai for people watching from this thing. That's a suburb in Mumbai. Yes.
Then I gradually moved to the West, and now I live in a very West. And here I built my own circle of friends. Family is already here. My cousins live close by. And we started having these weekend, potlucks. And that's how I started cooking. And then someone introduced me to WTF Warsaw, where I hold my pop-ups now. And I had made some mutton curry at home that day, and it was a lot. And because I have been born and brought up in a joint family, I don't know the concept of cooking less. That's a big challenge for me. So even if it is just my sister and me at home, I cannot get something which is less than a kilo.
So this is like the light, like what we call the mangsho jhol in Bengal with the potatoes.
Yeah.
So actually Bengali food also, like, if it's in a restaurant, then it can be quite heavy. But especially from the eastern side and all that, it's not. I must say a bit of that in defense of my clan, that it's not that our food is always that heavy on spices. A little bit of defense I must do. Now, your first pop-up, Sneha, you were saying was at WTF. So please tell us a bit about that. I know that the original branch was in Bandra. And in fact, someone called Kishore, who was our neighbor in one of them, he was one of the owners or partners. But this is the Andheri one?
Yes, so he is the owner of this one as well.
Yeah, we were neighbors. Very, very nice guy. Very, very friendly person. What does I think he opened in Khar, then this thing. But WTF, I think, stands for something else, not what we think it stands for, right?
Yes, it's what's the food. That's what the tagline is.
What's the food? Yes. So tell me, just for people to understand that you were and still are in a corporate career. So you've not like become like a full chef or restaurateur. So you're also working, right? And even when WTF happened, and you work in the social sector. If I
yes,
okay,
that's right.
And I remember in your social media handle you also describe yourself as a feminist. And
so that's
tell us a bit about that before we get into mutton curry. But what does feminism mean for you? Like, for example, when I'm doing foodocracy for her, then it is to show the work which is happening out there, and women as professionals, and more probably from that part, probably because it's a guy's perspective. But tell me, what does it mean to you? Because it's a serious topic, and you are the next generation.
So actually, for me, feminism always was equality between both the genders. It's not like that because I'm a woman, I'm superior, or because you're a man, you're superior. Nothing like that. And I somehow, from like very early, days, from my younger days, in fact, I always felt that I am equally capable as any other friend, a male friend of mine is, or a cousin. So we are just two sisters. We don't have a brother. But I never had this feeling from my parents that I am any less from the other one. That is one, that like both the genders are equal. That is what I believe. However, there is another set of people who feel that women should be given more exposure or rights or everything in terms of what is being offered to men. That is other. So, but for me, that is what feminism starts for. It's not like that because I'm a woman, I should be given something which is more. I think I should have equal opportunities of what is being given to anyone else. So that is what I strongly believe in.
I think the people who come from the context that the something more side which you were saying probably come from the context that centuries of deprivation in different sense, whether it's economic, health, social, or whatever. So probably a bit of adjustment for that. But of course, that's a heavier and more serious topic, and I think that's where we need to wear our sociology hats. And perhaps foodocracy for her might not be able to do justice to that. So let's get back to mangsho jhol. So what do you guys call mangsho jhol, first of all? What do you call kosher mangsho? What is mangsho jhol in Odia?
So mangsho tarkari is what we call the mangsho jhol in Odia. And we also use a lot of like large chunks of potato with the skin on it. And we don't love the skin.
Same.
So the skin has a real taste of the potato, and the gravy, holds.
It's also said that a lot of in the last century and early 19th, 20th century, a lot of the prominent rich Bengali households, the chefs would come with from Odisha because they were considered to be the most skilled. Even now, the Bandra Durga Bari, the Bandra Durga Pujo, the chef, Mr. Govindo, he is an Odia. So probably that's where a lot of Odia influence came into Bengali homes. But now tell us about WTF and your first pop-up. How did even the thought come? How did the opportunity come?
So Prashant, who co-manages the Andheri West, outlet here in Versova, along with Kishore, I had taken some manso tarkari to WTF just for my group of friends to, taste. And
So it was a hangout, is it? That WTF was a hangout.
It's my hangout.
Okay.
It
so
had
your central
actually just
point.
started. It just started to be my hangout then. This is about, I think, 4 years ago that I'm talking about. So I've taken some of it and he tasted it and he's like, you made it yourself? I said, yeah. He's like, what else do you make? I said, everything, fish, prawns, whatever you say. I mean, normal, regular home food. So then he's like, would you like to do a pop-up? I said, what's a pop-up? I didn't know what a pop-up was till then,
Pop-up.
So he's like, basically, I will give you my place for one afternoon for you to make your own menu, your own dishes, your ingredients, everything. I just host it in this particular venue. It's like, okay, great. Till then, I had myself cooked till about for 20 people. I had not gone beyond 20. Like that was my threshold.
And 20 is quite a lot. I don't think I've ever cooked for 20. I've max cooked for 10, maybe 10 or 12.
So then this whole thing came and I was like, how many people are you expecting? He's like, can do 100, 150. I was like, 100, 150? He's like, is that a problem? I said, no, just that, I am an amateur chef. I have never gone to a culinary school. It's just like, everything is in my memory. I have not even written down how much pinch of salt, how much sugar, how much turmeric. I don't have those things written. He's like, not required. You just go be yourself and cook from your heart. Like the way you would cook in your kitchen, just do it that way. So that's how we did. And the first one turned out to be a very big hit. I got some, 125 people and I was very happy.
That's a large number, by the way, 125. I think it's a fairly large number.
Yeah. And I was very excited because for me, the larger kick was seeing people enjoy the food. Till that time, it was mostly my friends and family who I know and who are bound to talk good about my food. so this at a setting when you don't know people and they're all strangers, they have the right to criticize you as well.
And they're paying. And they're paying for the food.
Yes, because they are paying, they have the right to criticize you.
Yes.
I was very scared.
But how did you manage? Like, did you work along with the chefs and cooks in WTF? Was Prashant a chef, or like how did it happen?
No, Prashant is a pure foodie. He's not a chef. So, but the way we planned it is, I worked with the chefs about a week in advance, trying the recipes out, like each recipe each day, so that they understand my style of cooking and I understand their style of cooking, and that's how we do it. So the best thing is they would not do what they have learned; they would go by what I tell them.
Oh, very nice.
That's how the taste differs from. Otherwise, if they throw in their style, it'll change into a restaurant style food, which is not what people would come in for. But it's just that like the level of spice or sugar is just maintained as per how much it should be when cooked in bulk. Otherwise, everything else is done as I would do at home. So they wouldn't throw in their expertise into it.
So I want to ask you, like when you did your first pop-up, how did you feel? Like, were there memories of the time with your late mom where you do the role play and little Sneha would be, Sanjeev Kapoor, the chef, and teaching her? Would those memories come to you, or how was it? How did your dad feel? How did your sister feel? Was it like a special moment for you guys?
one thing I must say, my dad doesn't live here, he lives in Bhubaneswar, but every time there is a pop-up, he makes it a point to fly down.
Oh,
And
wow.
he comes with ingredients from Bhubaneswar because he knows there are a lot of things which would not be available here. So
For
I call
example?
for a lot of stuff from home. So like whether it's like the ambulo, that is the dried mango, I don't get it here. I call it from there. And then I would call for all my spices, the ground masala from there, because there's this particular shop from there my mother used to buy from, where they used to make fresh masalas, whether it's garam masala or any kind of masala. So I still call for the spices from there, whether it's the body that you call in Bengali also.
The body. The body. We call it
Yes.
body.
So, yeah, so that also I call from home. So all those things, all those things he carries, he's very sweet to carry them in the flight and come here. This time I actually asked him not to go because of COVID restrictions. I didn't want him to fly, but he couriered me the stuff. He sent me the stuff right before time to be used for the pop-up.
Like I have Bengali friends of mine who are far more serious about the authenticity than I am, because I learned my cooking actually in Bombay, and my mom's a Delhi Bengali. So I do with whatever's around. But I have friends who will only get their posto from specific shops in Calcutta, their gur, their shorshe tel, their chal, their shona moong dal. So I guess someone like you who's more serious about your food than I am would sort of do that. And what about like your mom's memories? I mean, how did that?
So when the first time I did this, I was very nervous, to be honest, because I had never done it before, and I just remembered of how she would have, how she used to do when she used to cook for a large number of people, when guests used to come home at our place, and just recollected those memories, because like I said, I had not written down the recipes or the processes. So every time I used to approach a particular dish, it was instinctive. It is not like, and with me, the thing is, even if it is instinctive, the taste has to remain constant. It can't change.
So in a way, it's the legacy of your mom, other members in your family, your grandmom. But at the end of it, this is also Sneha's food, because this is coming out of your hand. So it's, I mean, it's all the tradition, it's all the legacy, it's all the DNA and the genes. But finally, it's what Sneha puts out there, right? So it's, I mean, you're taking it forward for your generation, and you're taking it out of Orissa. So I mean, how does that feel? That to be a sort of ambassador in a sense for your state's food in a city which is at the other end. Is Mumbai the only place where you've done pop-ups so far?
Yes.
So how does that feel? Like Orissa is, like 48-hour train ride away. Airlines don't sort of do it. Yeah. And then you're here. Calcutta used to be like 40 hours that Bombay out on the and to be an ambassador, how does that feel?
Oh, it feels great actually. The first time I did, I have shared this with you earlier as well, right? The reason I did this is because I couldn't find a single Odia restaurant in Bombay. I know there are tons of Odia cooks and they work for Bengali restaurants here in Bombay. I am aware of that. Not only Bengali restaurants, but they work for other restaurants also. But somehow there is not a single Odia restaurant that I found in Bombay specifically. And when I did this, this was surprisingly picked up by like Mumbai Mirror, Midday, and it's like just picked up. I had never contacted anyone like in terms of marketing or publicity.
So all organic. All organic.
All organic.
I saw Harsh Goenka's tweeted on Twitter about your latest thing.
Yeah, actually, I should thank you for that, because I think post your Condé Nast Traveler piece, that's when he noticed and he got in touch with me. So I should actually thank you for your, for featuring me in that particular.
It is my pleasure. My pleasure.
He actually got in touch with me after that, saying that I saw you were featured in that article, and I would love to try some Odia food. Like you rightly said, when he was growing up in Calcutta, all of his cooks were Odia. And that's how he has also fond memories of his childhood with Odia food.
Now you need to cook for Sanjeev Kapoor.
Yeah?
Oh, well. Because of all those memories of, and then you have to go and tell him like, namak swad anusar.
That
So
would
don't put
remind
any
him of Jasleen.
Yes, yeah, she's branded that. Yes, you did a few more pop-ups after that, right? After your
Yes,
first.
and after that, because it turned out to be a very big hit, and people were very happy with it, and the authenticity that was with the taste and everything. I have done about 6 pop-ups now in the last 3 years, and
So,
apart from
Sneha,
2020.
Sneha, when you said authenticity, what is your feel like? What percentage of people who ate your food are Odia and how many are non-Odia? Forget Bengali, Bihari, Assam. Because I agree with you. Like when I eat food of Bihari, food like Rasna Prasad's, or when I had Assamese food from the plains, when I went to Guwahati and both at the house of Pushpanjali and Mitali, there's a sort of continuum to the food of the East. But Mumbai is, of course, a cosmopolitan city. So, what proportion of your customers are Odia? Because the others won't know authenticity. Yeah?
I think it's 30% non-Orias and 70% Oria population.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
So 70% Odia people were willing to go and I'm sure pop-up would be at a decent amount of sum to pay because that's how it becomes viable. So they're willing to go and try that food and support a home girl. That's lovely. And I must give you this now I must give you this little example from my home case study. So as you know, I'm married to a Parsi. Now Kainaz, over the years, we've been married for like 19 years. She's had a fair bit of Bengali food thanks to us, and she quite likes it. And she loves her food. So even we've had her food 3 or 4 times, veg, non-veg, street food, puja food, everything. Dahi pakala, there's that. And even last time when she was having the mutton the second day, and I was perspiring, though it was lovely. And I was just saying, I love this girl's food. So she was connecting to it. But that day, my mom-in-law was there, and she's not really, understood much about Bengali food. Normal. This thing, but she was also enjoying. So what I feel like, when you said authenticity, and I was speaking with Sherry in the last Foodocracy 4 episode, she chose the word realism or real food over authenticity. And I think that is a very good thing because, when I eat your food and that of many other home chefs, maybe whose cuisines I might not be that familiar with, it gives you that feeling of this is the sort of food which is cooked in someone's home. Now, whether this is the authentic Odia food or not, I don't know because there'll be so many layers to Odia food. But so you did 6 pop-ups in 3 years, all in WTF?
No, so one was in another place, another restaurant, but in the vicinity itself, they invited me over to do a pop-up like a Sunday
So
lunch.
with each subsequent one, did you get more confident or were there fresh challenges every time?
Well, every time I cook, I feel it's a fresh challenge because with food, anything can go wrong anytime. So you cannot be complacent and you cannot be like comfortable. Okay, मैंने ये 5 बार किया है, 6th time भी ये ऐसा ही होगा. No, it doesn't work out that way.
Okay, I want to ask you a question which I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about. So, I started blogging in 2007, which was 12, 13 years back or whatever. And at that time, I was working, in the corporate world, market research. And then after a few years, I was in touch with Simon Majumdar, who's written the foreword for my book, a Britisher who's now in the US. And I told him that, I want to write a book. So should I just quit my job and write a book? So he told me that, no, hold on. And he was originally from the publishing industry. So he said that the way the world is now, you can actually sort of do your job and explore your things, whether it's writing, cooking, whatever. And because he said that maybe, you might be under a lot of financial pressure if you want to leave your main job. And then maybe you might not be able to follow it to your heart's content. So I want to ask a bit about this to you because there might be so many people out there like you who are doing their jobs or businesses or professions or whatever, and they like to cook and they're seeing stories of people who are now leaving that aside and are becoming full-fledged home chefs. Like Sherry, for example, she's setting up her business, and Justlene's also doing that, and so many of the things. So, what is your take about work life and cooking and balancing it? Do you feel tempted? Do you at some point want to move there? I mean, unless you don't want to say it here and your boss is hearing. But, not too many people watch this, so it's okay.
No, I would like, I
It's
would
all a
love for
secret.
as many people to watch it. That's fine. So, I mean, a lot of people have told me that you should just start a restaurant or like
Yeah,
take
yeah.
up a cloud kitchen. But I somehow haven't got into that whole thing of leaving a corporate job, which gives me a salary at the end of the month, which helps me to pursue this passion. Uh, and you do this full time. Maybe someday in the future for sure, because my love for food is like beyond the love for anything else in this world. I Even if I'm sleeping, I dream about good food. That's what I do, and I would someday for sure would like to take this up as a full time, work or job or career maybe. Right now, I haven't thought of it. I'm very happy with this whole. Honestly, work from home is great for me because I get time to explore new things in terms of what more can I cook and how can I,
And all those breakfasts you're doing,
harness
all
my
those
skills.
fabulous breakfasts which you're doing and putting on Twitter.
Yeah, I follow your series. I mean, I've made that finely chopped series.
Thank you so much. I mean, most flattered. That's whatever little I can share from my life with you, and I mean, you will have your own path. But there were a lot of people who would tell me the same thing, that leave your job and get into food writing, and I felt the same thing as you, which is that we all in the East, whether it's Orissa, Bengal, we might fight about the Rasgulla, but we all largely come from a more service-oriented race than entrepreneur, like the Gujaratis or the Marwaris and all these guys. So we like security, we like our this thing. So even like you, like people would say that, but it's finally your life. So you need to do what you're comfortable with, because finally you'll have to run it. And I just feel, and I've seen that from my experience, that if this is something which you want to do, like in your case, like I'm guessing to cook and feed people. In my case, it was writing, food storytelling. Then things will happen. So don't. And probably you don't, but this thing. But don't stress too much about it. Just focus on your job, which I'm sure you do, because yesterday we had to cancel our interview because a meeting came up. No problem with that. It's good because it shows your focus on your job. But I think that things will happen. Don't and it's your life. So others can say a lot of things, and they mean well, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
they mean well. Everyone
actually,
means well, but
like on the contrary, my entire family is a business family. No one has done a
okay.
job.
Okay, you're the black sheep. The black
I am
sheep
the
of the family.
only one. And after me, it is my sister, my younger sister, who is also working. She works for India Infoline Services. So both of us are like, salaried people. Otherwise, my dad, he has his own business. My grandfather was, he was an independent contractor. He used to work on government contracts. So no one in our family actually did jobs as such. But I always was very happy with this thing of, okay, end of the month, I'm going to get this much salary and I'm going to spend it in this much fashion. I was very happy, and I enjoy my job also. So, like
That's
I did my
lovely. That's
MSW. Yeah, I did my MSW from TIS, and I was very happy working in the NGO sector, and then later in the CSR space for corporates, helping them, and at the same time explore my love for like cooking and actually spreading my love and care through food. So my kick is, okay, people who are eating my food should be happy and should feel contented. Okay, I had such a great meal and I can sleep well now.
no. So that's how we feel when we have your food. That very happy, very contented. We sleep well, and that's what I also want. That when people interact with my writing or interviews or whatever, if it just leaves them feeling a bit happy, I think that's a job well done. And I think you've got a very nice combination of sociology, social welfare, and your interest in food. I think they can come together. Like for example, like I strongly believe that my training in sociology impacts the way I look at food. Because for me, I look at food from the lens of culture. You can look at food from the lens of recipe, history, science. Like, for example, this Krish Ashok's book recently, which is on the science of Indian food. What attracts me about food is the culture and society, which is what. So I think that this combination of sociology, social welfare, and food can take you into directions which you would never have thought of.
Like just sharing like one very small example. In December, like during last 4-5 months, I was home in Bhubaneswar because of lockdown, and I went to my maternal uncle's place. It is in Mayurbhanj district of Orissa, which is like one of the tribal areas. If you would have heard about the recent Simlipal fires in the forest,
Okay. Yeah.
so the forest fire that happened. So we had visited there. So that is very close to my maternal uncle's house. There I ate something which was prepared by a group of self-help group, tribal women, okay? And it was made up of this country chicken, and it was nothing. It was just country chicken cut into small pieces, marinated in mustard oil and some local spices. They smoked it on fire. Below, actually, they put one layer of fire. On that, they put some burning coal, and they smoked it on that coal. Wow. And they opened the leaf and they changed it to a fresh leaf. They garnished it with fresh onions and it's some simple masala, only salt and red chili powder, and it tastes so good. A group of small tribal self-help group women, and the food is amazing. Imagine. Wow. So it's all about the culture, tradition, everything that is local, indigenous to that particular region, which is totally unexplored. If it comes to mainstream, I'm sure a lot of people will be blown away by the taste and flavor that they bring in.
I can imagine, because when I went to Assam a couple of years back, I'd been invited to this Manas Spring Festival at Manas, which is this forest reserve, and where Mitali Dutt was working with the local Bodo tribal women and showcasing their food. So there's so much unexplored. So as we're coming towards the end of this lovely chat, I want to ask you a bit about the lockdown, because you went home, then you came back to Mumbai, then your pop-ups were not happening, so you started doing a bit out of home, and you did the Odia Bhoji menus till you finally again had a pop-up very recently. So we've been almost a year in the pandemic. So what has this period taught you? And what is your feeling now? What's your state of mind now?
Well, honestly, 2020 was very, very good in terms of learning experiences for me. Until that, I had not explored so much in terms of home deliveries at such a large scale to people who would be so much appreciative of the food delivered at their doorstep at that particular point in time. Like, restaurants were not there and all that. And also the fact that we want so much, so little in life just to be happy, just either by like doing things that you really enjoy doing. I mean, being home indoors also can give you a lot of pleasure, a lot of happiness. Also, the opportunity to learn new things, because you get to spend quality time not only with the people you love or your family, also with yourself. Because especially for us in Bombay, we are always running against time, traveling, going to work in the traffic. I think lockdown taught me to slow down, to relook at things and actually see what I want from life and things that I enjoy. So a lot of years ago, I used to dance Odissi and I had lost touch because I didn't find time to practice. Actually, lockdown gave me time to get back to dancing and get back to practicing. It gave me time to learn new recipes, to try out recipes. I think I'm very thankful for this whole year that, actually nature gave us time to stop and think. Though it's a pandemic, and I'm very sad for people who have been impacted adversely. But I think it's a way of nature telling us, don't take me for granted. There is a lot for everything, for everyone, but everyone should know how to use it in a very judicious manner.
No, I think very very wisely said. I think it's bittersweet, bitter because of all the loss in life, livelihood, everything. But also, I think that the lessons which it has left us with, the time it has given to our selves. So, Sneha, what next? What are your plans going ahead, or are you taking each day as it comes?
I think, I mean, I would surely go on doing home deliveries on a regular basis now that I have started doing them. And I do like very limited orders because I want to just do justice to the quality of food that I deliver to people. And like you said, the realism or the authenticity in terms of the taste, and also see how the whole pop-up thing spans out, and maybe grow it with time.
Beautiful.
I'm
So,
just happy that people, more and more people, should know what what the Odia food is all about. I mean, I'm sure that once they know about it, they love the food.
no, I'm sure they will because it's brilliant, and the food which you present per se is so brilliant because I'm sure not it's not just about Odia food, but it's also about Sneha's food. So thanks Sneha so much for joining
Thank
in
you so
and
much.
talking so candidly from your life and about the heritage of your wonderful state and about your entrepreneurship and your balance between that and that your work life. So, folks, especially if you're in Mumbai and you want to try out Oria food, then hit up Sneha. Her Instagram page is Russ Sassy, right?
Yes.
Yes. So she's on Instagram as Russ underscore Sassy, or just type for Sneha Senapati. So if you're
Yes.
in Mumbai or if you're anywhere in the world and want to order food for people in Mumbai and Odia food, hit her up and things. And also for folks who are watching, please share this video because the entire idea of doing these interviews is for these stories to be heard and seen by as many because they're very inspirational. So it really depends on your sharing it. But thanks, Neha. Thanks for your time. It was lovely chatting with
Thank you
you.
so much. Same here.
Thanks. Take care. Stay well. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.